That's your birthday today from Dr. Ray of Get Well Medical Center in Tema. It is your birthday today. Happy birthday. And we encourage you to send your thoughts and comments onto our WhatsApp console so we can share with the rest of the wonderful world your thoughts on great matters that we'll be discussing this morning. Also, a happy birthday to Valentine Seto Ale. This is from Komla Adum here at TV3. Happy birthday. If it's your birthday as well, happy birthday with you to you. Let's start off with the daily statement, shall we? It says, Obiamoa indicts CSOs in botched referendum on MMDCE's election. That's what the Deputy Minister for Local Governance is saying. Akufo-Addo assures level playing field in selecting next NPP flag bearer. And Accra Compost and Recycling Plant commissioned. NPP exposes OT chief with Akufo-Addo's unmatched record. The BNFT is next. It says Akufo-Addo inaugurates 20 million euros second phase of the bulk supply, power supply plant in Pokwasi. Also, bank loans are not for startups, UMB boss, as such businesses need long-term funds. And investors vote Ghana to lead continent towards industrial boom. And let's approach cash light as a strategy against robbery. Gibbs boss, Mr. Hesse there. Daily Graphic, second phase of Accra Compost Plant commissioned, and also private schools license renewal now 3 years, according to the Education Minister. And discussions on LGBTQ plus bill tolerate opposing views. President Akufo-Addo has told the public as the debate goes on. And the Ghanaian Times says a public debate on LGBTQ plus heats up. President urges tolerance in civil discourse. That's on page 16 of the Ghanaian Times. Also, Shatawale, others remanded in police custody for 1 week. Second phase of 20 million euros ACAP inaugurated as government commits to improving sanitation in Accra. NTC, NRSA forge partnership on road safety campaign. The Finder newspaper. Stop financial irregularities. Chief of Staff cautions the MMDAs. Commercial radio stations in Accra, Tema, Kumasi, Takoradi to pay 55,084 licenses according to the NCA. Joe Anoche's picture is there. Asabi's communication prowess will help MPP in 2024 party stalwart. 2,000 tons Accra Compost and Recycling Plant. 800 tons, phase 2 commissioned, and Shatawale, 3 others remanded over publication of false news. Finally, the Daily Guide. Even losers are on thank you tour. Nana apologizes to Ogwa, as he shades John Mahama there. Shatawale, gang boys, pastor caged. Akufo-Addo opens 20 million euros ACAP phase 2 plant there. My guest this morning, Mr. Kwesi Kwarteng. He is a spokesperson at the Ministry of Education. He's here on the ticket of the NPP. And also lawyer Abraham Amalba. He is the head of the NDC's legal team. He's also a member of the National Communications team. He's a private legal practitioner as well. Counsel, Kwesi, welcome. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
For having us.
Great. How's your Friday going, Counsel?
Very well. I think, but for the president's utterances yesterday, I think the situation was quite normal until the president came and made those wild statements. In any case, I'm sure it's one of the topics we'll be discussing. So I wouldn't want to let the cat out yet.
And you have a cat in the bag?
Yeah.
Okay. Kwesi, how's the Friday going?
I'm fine. I'm doing well. Although Amalba has started on a very
You're wondering where he's going?
Yeah, well, I was wondering. We've not even said the topics, and quickly he wants to box the president in it and make it as though the president has made some wild statements. That
I want to hear what he has to say.
Yeah, I think he should just let us know what he has. Then I'll react to it, because the way he now set the tone for the conversation, I'm sure he has something under his
Anyway,
sleeves.
I have a point of interest, though, from the perspective of the Ministry of Education and the Ghana Education Service. 19 boys were sodomized by their social studies teacher at the Kulpi JHS, Natoma, Otabel. I've not heard from the ministry. I've not heard from the GES. But it is the GES and the ministry that put that teacher in the school to teach the children how to live right in society and how to obey the laws and all of that. Now, if it turns out that he has confessed in open court that he indeed sodomized the boys, the GES has not spoken about it, is it fair?
I'm happy that at least you have a lawyer on this panel whilst this conversation has come up. If you know, I think when it comes to matters like this, especially sodomy, is a purely criminal matter.
That's right.
And then when it comes to criminal issues, certainly there is an institution that is responsible for it, i.e. the police service, and of course, I mean, after their investigation, they have to go through the judicial system, then test it. At the end of the day, a competent court of jurisdiction will come out or make a determination on whether or not the person is guilty or something. So if you look at the nature of the issue, it's about sodomy. And as soon as sodomy comes in, then it moves from the level of, say, the teacher or GES or even the ministry. But of course, I mean, we do acknowledge that the teacher is our client and even the students are equally our clients. And so that level of collaboration at the district and the regional level is there between the GES directorate and of course, I mean, the police. But if you look at the nature of the issue, it's a purely criminal matter and there is really little that the GES or the ministry can do. I mean, the only thing we can do is that after the investigation and the court proceedings, if there are any further actions that the ministry or the agency that is responsible for recruiting them and they're responsible for the care of the case can then take further actions. But until then, you are unable to run or usurp the proceedings that is currently
I'm not inviting you to usurp the processes. And this matter, but Council, please indulge me. This matter broke on the 24th of September on media general platforms. Yeah. It became public on the 27th of September. Up until now, the ministry has not breathed a word. GS has not breathed a word.
Yeah, because the investigation has not concluded.
Hold on for me. It took forever for even an NGO and the MP to step in to provide the bills for the medical examination for the boys. All this while, the GES was quiet. And I know that the GES and the ministry will say we have guidance and counseling units in the school. I'm interested in what kind of psychological support has been given to the boys and the other boys who may be scared. That's the kind of conversation. I'm not asking you to get the merits of the matter so that we commit sub judice. I'm saying that up until now, you put the teacher there. You are supposed to be monitoring teaching and learning. And you are quiet. 19 boys have been sodomized. The teacher has confessed in open court. Those are the facts. Is it fair? Is it fair to the parents and the students
Johnny,
and the community
you see, you still keep bringing in the issue about the court. That I mean, you see, as soon as you bring in the confession in court, that is not absolute. Because even today, if I find myself in court and I plead guilty, the court will enter not guilty.
I'm talking about psychological support for the boys. Have we provided?
I want us to distance ourselves from the proceedings in court. Okay. Then we deal with the how do you call it, the other matters.
Let's deal with psychological support. Let's deal with psychological support. Have you provided psychological support?
What I'm saying is that if you look at GES at the district level, at the regional level, there has been that level of collaboration between GES and the investigating bodies. And so, for instance, when they went to, how do you call it, Tamale
for the medical test.
Yes, that level of collaboration was also there between
what kind of collaboration?
Of course, I mean, you cannot just pack case into a bus and then take them to a medical facility. Certainly, you have to get the approval and the support of the directorate at the district level, at the regional level. You see, what you want probably the GES to have done is maybe to have come out to condemn the act. And I'm saying that we couldn't have done that, especially when investigations have not been terminated. All the level of support that is needed at the district level, at the regional level, I can assure you, and I'm stating on authority, that the regional directorate and the district directors have all been given them that needed support.
I can say to you that the children have not been given psychological support, no level of counseling from the GES's guidance and counseling units in the school. I can tell you this on authority. I mean, what
do you mean by psychological support? Because at the end of the day, you are trying to, how do you call it, break the components of the medical support. The most important thing is that they get the medical support, which, as I speak to you, the medical examination has been done.
Paid for by the MP and an NGO.
And what does it change?
Sodomized by your teacher, your client.
You see, then you take me back to the court. That issue has not been terminated. The matter have not been determined. You understand? I'm saying that if you ought to finish the investigation process, a medical report have to conclude and confirm. Then a court of competent jurisdiction will have to make a determination. You have to, clearly, you have to separate a purely criminal matter from a civil matter. I am saying that, yes, we have a role to play, and that role is to collaborate with the teacher. Maliba is here. He will tell you that it's a purely criminal matter. The only thing that we can do in a purely criminal matter is to assess the agency or the institution that leads in the investigation and the prosecution of the criminal matter.
The Ministry of Gender has written a statement suggesting that they are going to provide psychological support to the people. They didn't post the teacher to the school. They have written a statement since Madam Cecilia Abnadapa went there. Just Afo didn't write a letter. Now, are you suggesting that they are also becoming medicinal interloper?
Not at all, not at all. But I mean, bottom line is that in principle, government is taking an action. So
which action?
I'm coming, Johnny. The point is that
which action?
Hold on. No, you asked a question, so let me answer you. Bottom line is that GES at the level of the district level, at the level of the regional level, has been having that level of collaboration, even though it is not public. Your point is about that psychological support. Where I am saying that psychological support, of course, is encompassed in the whole medical treatment or the medical support that they are getting. Your point is that you want GES to come out to say that, well, we are providing A, B psychological
because you have guidance and counseling units.
Yes, and that system and structures are there. So what again do you want?
Has the teacher been suspended?
The case is in court.
I see. Okay. Counsel, I don't know if you want a bite on this one.
I would, because we all have children who are in school. And so good morning to your viewers.
Morning, Counsel.
When children leave home to school, they leave their parents and they are in school. The teachers take over as parents. Now, if you have a teacher then taking advantage of the children and abusing them, that for me is a complete break of what the parent, the teacher-student relationship is all about. It's a complete breakaway. Now you have a teacher who is alleged to have sodomized children in the school. One would have expected that the internal processes of the GES would have been activated. Forget about the matter in court. But if you work in an institution and you get yourself embroiled in some conflict within your workplace, there are internal processes that are activated. Those internal processes will include, and you mentioned it, step aside, suspended, so that we can look into the matter. Was this done? I don't know. Now, this case of the sodomy is quite straightforward, because I am told from the news, I'm told that the teacher confessed in court.
That's right.
Now, when you confess, and he was misleading people, when you confess, what happens is that you are immediately convicted on your own plea of guilty.
Nothing convicts a man faster than his words.
So when you plead guilty, because when you go to court, they will read your charges to you. Count one. You, so and so did. You did this, that. Within the jurisdiction of this court. Are you guilty or not? Guilty. Immediately you say you are guilty, you'll be convicted on your own plea, and then you'll be sentenced. That cuts the matter very short.
Confession is not the same as accepting that you are guilty. You have to distinguish the two.
I'm saying that
they are not the same. Separated. Make it clear.
He pleaded guilty. That's what I'm saying.
The confession is not the same as pleading guilty. You are a lawyer. Educate as well.
I'm saying that the man
confession is not the same.
Pleaded guilty.
No, they are two different things.
What I say? I'm saying that the man.
I can confess that I did this. It does not necessarily mean that I accept that I'm guilty.
Are you listening? I'm saying that the man went to court and confessed.
He never accepted that he was guilty.
He was guilty.
I don't know. The judgment would have been pronounced.
And then, if you are guilty, clearly, you'll be convicted.
He has not done that.
Now, the next point is the issue that you are talking about. What assistance would the school or Ghana Education Service render to the affected victims? And up to now, we have not seen anything. And that's, for me, that's where your concern is.
That's right.
Up to now, we've seen nothing. In fact, there was a news item
says
that
the matter is in court. So
no, the matter in court doesn't mean that.
No,
the matter in court doesn't mean that GS cannot come to the aid of the students. Now, in the news, I heard that at a certain point in time they were referred to Tamale Teaching Hospital.
That's right.
And when they couldn't get even transportation to go there, or even when they got there, they couldn't pay for the services.
So it took Helping Kids and the MP, Haja Zuera, to foot that bill.
Exactly.
But Johnny, that was the duty of the police. They were investigating. They ought to have run the test for them.
No.
Not the GS.
Kwesi, hold on. Kwesi, I think that you're getting it wrong. Counsel is here.
Yes.
When you're raped, sodomized, or defiled, the police will give you a medical form.
Okay.
You, the victim, will have to foot the bill.
Okay.
That's all right?
Yeah.
So when you say it is the job of the police to foot the bill,
no, we are talking about a peculiar case.
Where are the police supposed to get the money from?
Where was GS supposed to get the money from? Are they all not state institutions?
I see.
Are they all not state institutions?
You don't have IGF?
No, the police don't have IGF. Johnny.
So one would have expected that. Crazy. One would have expected that. Looking at the circumstances of the children and their parents not being able to foot the medical bill, the GS would have stepped in to assist in ensuring that they go through the process. Because that process...
The police should have done that.
No, that process is part of the evidence gathering process. And if you don't go through that process for the medical report to show that, yes, there was some penetration, then it will be difficult for you to even prosecute the matter in court.
In fact, the police couldn't charge him up until the report was done.
Exactly.
So it took the magistrate to come from Accra to put him in police custody because the people wanted to lynch the teacher.
Good. So if you have children from poor backgrounds and it is your employee who caused their pain, it is just proper and fair that you assist the students. Because at that point, when they were in school, the GES, the teachers were like parents to the students. And so I agree with you entirely that when they were not able to foot their medical bills, GES should have stepped in to provide that assistance. The explanation that because the matter is in court, you couldn't have stepped in to provide that assistance is neither here nor there. It is just a hoax, and that cannot be allowed to stand.
Kwesi,
if the GSS failed in doing that, they must admit, and not to bring their PRO here to defend the poor nature in which they handle the whole situation.
Just to put on record that Kwesi didn't come here because of this matter. I'm raising this because I have an interest in it. And I think that if it had been one girl, we would have all been talking, but 19 boys, it seems like we're all quite cool. But Kwesi, does this situation, for example, expose the kind of monitoring and evaluation of teaching and learning in our schools, where a teacher is able to sodomize 19 boys, and it takes about 3 or 4 of them to go and confide in a female teacher before the matter is blown out? Does it expose monitoring and evaluation of teaching and learning processes in our schools under the GS and Ministry of Education?
Okay, before I answer that question, I mean, just a quick reaction to what Amalba was saying about the footing of the bills and other things. You know, if you look at the DOSU units of the police service, they are responsible for that. Right. So I still stand by my point that they ought to have also taken responsibility for those things. But I mean, bottom line is that we are all working together as a government agency. So at the end of the day, there has to be that level of collaboration. Then the question about whether or not there has been the break-in monitoring at the level of in our schools. I will answer it from the wider scope or from the wider perspective. Of course, I mean, even if in our communities we do have police, we do have laws, we do have a lot of surveillance systems and other. For instance, I mean, if you drive across the road, there are a whole lot of CCTV cameras and other things. Yes, still you have people breaking the law. And so what I would say is that there are some level of crimes, especially if you look at the nature of the crime, that you are unable to prevent. I mean, these are not crimes that are done in the open or in the public. And so you have a teacher probably luring a student. And it even boils down to this kind of suppressive culture that we are used to in our schools, where a student is unable to question or challenge the teacher, where a student is made to wear shorts. And if you ask why the student is made to wear shorts, the only thing the teacher will tell you that I don't want him to be like us. He's not a teacher, so he should wear shorts, not a trousers. And so you have that kind of suppressive culture across the entire fabric of our society. And anything a teacher will say becomes sacred that the student must follow. And again, balancing that with the nature of the crime. It is not as though it's a public crime, just like just some level of crimes that even criminologists who are due to the fact that they are very difficult to prevent. I mean, this is one of them. No teacher will call you and announce to you that this is what he's going to do. It's unfortunate that we have such a situation. But sometimes you measure you measure the strength of the system, not by probably how proactive the system is, but also how we have been able to react to it at the end of the day. And for me, we also have to commend the Ghana Police Service for the swift response. But bottom line is, of course, I mean, we have to still collaborate to strengthen our Ghana. Hold on. If they never responded swiftly, probably the issue wouldn't have been in court by now. So let me. Lawyer Amalaba, let me finish.
Maybe I give a bit of background. So this teacher. This female teacher gets wind of this, alerts the parents, they go to the police, and then they go and report. The guy is not picked up. Natuma is not picked up until the education officers there get the wind that the people in the community wanted to mass up and lynch him. So they quickly ran to the police to go and do, and the police come, pick him, and put him in safe custody.
The police work is not an event, it's a process.
Hold on, and put him in safe custody.
Yeah.
So one would have thought that, well, I mean, the police would not have even acted if the people had not indicated that they wanted to lynch.
Yeah, but I mean,
and why
will you reduce the police work to only the arrest, but also not also the entire investigation, the prosecution process, which have also been quite swift?
You are jumping from one place.
Hold on. You have your time.
The GES must be commended.
I never even brought in the GES.
You said that.
You don't listen to me.
Let's wrap up on this and move on.
Let me land.
So you mentioned the GES.
You are my friend. Let me land. I didn't message you. I said the police. So why did he ask about police, not GES?
No wonder the president can even say that he doesn't.
He wants to go there. We'll come there.
We'll go there. Quickly, let's not spend all the time. Because so what's the way forward? Would, for example, the GES, the ministry, go to the parents, apologize to them?
I'm saying that, yes. So in broadening the scope of the conversation, we have to reorient our case to be more assertive in a very respectful way, the legal culture. So that, I mean, some of these things, you know that they are wrong. You are able to report them. Because if you look at the nature of the crime, like I said, even criminologists who are due to the fact that there are some level of crimes that until the crime has been committed, you are unable to prevent it. Of course, I mean, at the level of the institutions, you have the counseling units, you have even the teachers who are each other's keeper, who have that duty of care.
Functional?
Yes, they are functional. You have the teachers, other colleagues who are supposed to, I mean, that level of duty of care exists in the schools. But of course, I mean, just like even generally in our societies, you have some who go overboard and break the law. And at the end of the day, the state institutions or people who are responsible for that may
will the GES take responsibility and go to the parents?
The GES will take further actions. That's what I would say.
Not responsibility.
That further actions.
The teacher they posted to the school
further actions
has misconducted himself in such a way.
In a criminal matter, it is the court that makes a determination. After that, the GS will take further actions based on the determination of the court.
But I thought the GS had code of ethics for teachers.
Yes.
The rules of engagement.
Yes. The code of ethics does not overrule the provisions of the Constitution, especially in the context of a criminal proceedings, where a court will have to make a determination. When that determination is made, the GS will also come out with its further.
What happens if a teacher misconducts himself? What is in the code?
Yes, if a teacher, so I mean, clearly, even if you look at the provisions of the Constitution, for instance, I mean, before you are able to punish somebody, that offense has to be stated in written language and the penalty prescribed to it accordingly. And so, same applies to even the code. So, you have to get the specific offense and the penalty that is prescribed to it accordingly, clearly. But in this case, it's a purely criminal matter. That when the criminal proceedings terminates, the GS will take further actions.
This is a misconduct. What do you mean? The code doesn't deal with misconduct?
Misconduct, yes, we deal with misconduct, but I'm saying that the issue is at the level of the court.
So your code doesn't deal with misconduct?
Yes, but you see, the investigation
this misconduct on the part of a teacher?
Yes, the court will have to make that determination. No,
your code doesn't deal with the misconduct.
So
stop hiding behind the court. I'm saying that there are internal processes.
Johnny, what if at the end of the court pronounces him not to be guilty?
He's come back to his work.
So let
You've not seen that before?
So let the court finish. Let the court finish. It's a criminal proceeding. You are a lawyer. I'm saying that it's a criminal proceeding. You are a lawyer.
After Shiraj cleared him.
Amaleba, it's a criminal proceeding. You are a lawyer.
But didn't Kufuor ask him to step aside?
We will not usurp the powers of the court.
You are lying. You are hiding behind the court. You could have activated your internal processes.
We'll wait for the court.
Just sleeping on your
wait for the court to finish the determination of the matter.
Thank you very much.
Actions. Don't determine how the GS should work.
Just sleep on your job. Take a listen to this.
Determine how the GS should work.
Because Kwesi is here, let's stay with education and talk about the e-blocks that have become topical. Yesterday, the president responded to Togbe Fiti. First, listen to Togbe Fiti. He's the paramount chief of the Aflao traditional area. And then once we are done with that, we'll listen to President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, who spoke on a Accra-based radio station, Peace FM, with Kwame Sefakan. And then he responded to him quickly. Let's take a look at it. Because Kwesi is here, I'd like us to ventilate the education issues first, and then we can get on to others if we have some more time.
After senior high education, primary to the senior high education, the next degree that my people have to do is to go to border and go and do what? Cairo. No school. The only school that we have again is the RC Senior High School that belongs to the Catholic Mission. And it's now what? A minor seminary. So this thick population have no place to go. And people sit down in that big hall called Parliament. We are thinking of Aflao, a place after the Tema Harbour, the next revenue generation is from Aflao border. It's from Aflao border. And I have to push the former President Mahama for that structure to be what? Constructed over there. I have to be running from here to Accra. Begging. Should we beg for education? No. There's something happening. If we have to beg for education before our what? People can go to school, then I don't know what is called a democracy at all. And look at the structure standing over there. 90% finished. 100%. Yes. Now the thieves are having their full days again. Going there, removing everything at will. Now, in the era of the MPP now, we have the free senior high education. And my people are not benefiting because the school is not here. I'm sure by next year, February, school, new entrance will go to school. So your coming here is a redemption to the suffering people of Aflao. It's a redemption, really, to the suffering people of Aflao. I carry this message to the Minister of Education that come February, I want this school to be open. Yes, February.
We came to a head. It's difficult.
How about the e-blocks?
Many of them. I think I'll find an opportunity to send you that many of them are being worked on across the country.
Let me just take one, Mr. President. The one in Aflao where the chief himself has complained. Aflao patch say e-block no oba yenya hoshi. Inti my education minister up to February say oba yehu bibi. It's under say
no minister ultimatum.
Also, wabre. Inti obisa no then I'll back maybe out of frustration maybe your casa.
When be aso as much as possible. I've given you these examples to let you see that, on the contrary, despite the propaganda, because one of the things that I suspect there's a deficit on our part is our ability to counter the propaganda. The propaganda takes over the reality of so many aspects of our national life. It's a pity, but we'll continue.
Togbe Fiti, is the paramount chief of Aflao traditional area, and also President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo earlier with Kwame Sefakan on a Accra-based radio station, Peace FM. We had to play this because yesterday we spoke about it, and the president gave a response. Kwesi, let me come to you. The president seems to suggest that the chief was playing propaganda. And there are contrasting views that the chief was just asking for what he has gone to beg in the past to be actualized for his people to benefit. Was he playing propaganda?
I think for me, what is more important to me, and of course my boss, the Honorable Minister of Education, Dr. Yawaduchum, is that we are able to complete the projects, especially the ongoing ones.
Within the ultimatum?
I mean, I'm coming. If you recall, in 2013, I mean, the impression that our friends, the past administration, Amaliba and Co. made was that they have commenced the construction of about 200 of these day community senior high schools. It is instructive for all of us to know that 2014 coming, I mean, when they really awarded the contracts for the construction of these schools, a number of 124 of them were constructed. Out of this 124, 23 of them was being sponsored by the World Bank. So it means that government of Ghana was funding 101 of them. Between 2014 to 2016, I mean, I always commend the NDs. At least they took, at least they make some frantic effort to be able to do something. So they were able to complete 29 of them.
Okay.
Between 2017 to date, 31 of them has been completed.
Okay.
And so cumulatively, you have 60 of them that has been completed and operationalized and in use by students currently. And so the earlier impression that was created as though the projects have been abandoned is not entirely correct or true. Okay. Of course, I mean, the fundamental question that is asked is the remaining 64, where are they? The remaining 64, they have been categorized in three main phases.
Which are?
The first category is that those that is between, in terms of the completion, how do you call it, percentage, 60% and above. That is 21 of the schools.
Okay.
You have 16 of them. That is also between 25 to 60%. And then 27 of them, those contracts have been terminated outrightly because, I mean, some of them contractor even never moved to site. Some of them too, if you look at the progress of work after 18 months, it's still 1%, it's 2%. And so at that staff structure level, there was no need of even executing the contract in the first place. So currently we'll be dealing with 124 minus 27. That is the actual projects that we are working on, of which 60 has been completed and operationalized. And so it defeats the impression that was portrayed by the minority recently, as though the projects have been abandoned. Of course, I mean, we do agree that some of them ought to have been completed by now. But there is a peculiar challenge or peculiar issue that we are all not addressing. For instance, let me take you to a school like the Oyoko in the Bosomtwe district, or Drobonso, for instance. Government has to secure extra funds to be able to construct boarding facilities for these schools so that students are able to use.
Why was that?
Yes, because if you look at the original concept of the school, it was community-day senior high schools. And so ordinarily, you expect that they were situated in the communities. But then students have to walk 1 mile, 2 miles, 3 miles to be able to access the schools. And so some of them, government have to construct or connect road network, some of them electricity grid, some of them water, and some of them government have to get buses for them. I mean, the one that comes to mind is the Oyoko one and the Bosomtwe one, where government had to construct boarding houses to be able to facilitate the use of these projects. Let me give you an instance. If you look at a school like Basa Community Senior High School, for instance, in the Sene East District in the Bono East, and then New Kokompe Community School, for instance, initially, the school was operationalized in 2017. In 2017, the number of enrollment was 0. Same as, I'm referring to the two schools. In 2018, too, was 0-0. So what it meant
because nobody was posted there.
No. It was because no student was willing to access it. So what the government did was, at the end of the day, how do you post a student there when the student will have to walk for 1 mile or 2 before he's able to access the school? So government had to secure money to be able to add ancillary facilities like boarding to be able to make it accessible. And so, yes, bottom line is that, the Togbe has raised...
was he playing propaganda like the president
that's what I'm saying that for me, what is important to me is that we are able to complete the projects.
Was he playing propaganda?
I said, what is more important?
Because the president sought to suggest that one of the difficulties of this government is your inability to respond to propaganda, which then suggests that the man was playing propaganda, the venerable chief was playing propaganda. That's the suggestion of the president.
Johnny,
from the where you sit at the ministry,
I'll resist the temptation.
Do you subscribe to that?
Johnny, I'll resist the temptation of being boxed into answering that question.
The president who appointed you.
No, I'm saying that I'll resist the temptation of being boxed into answering that question. For me,
why not?
And no, for me, and we at the ministry, of course, I mean, my able boss, the Honorable Minister Dr. Yosef. What is more important to us is that we are able to complete the projects that has been outlined. And when I refer, because whatever the chief said, Johnny, let me give you examples of some of these schools.
Is the minister beyond ultimatum? Because even trade unionists will give ministers ultimatum. You have GPRT, they give ultimatum.
Even ministers give themselves ultimatum.
So why can't the chief give an ultimatum to the minister for education?
Yes. But you see, per that logic, what it means is that if you go to the Mwasi Municipal, the chief there will also have to give ultimatum. If you go to Adansenov, the chief there will also have to give ultimatum. If you go to Bosomche District, the chief there will also have to give ultimatum. Adanse South, Ahanta West, Menfi West, because all of them. So
then you agree that the president said the chief was playing propaganda?
No. I am saying that you see, if you look at the nature of the work, and especially the circumstances that has caused the delay, you have the past government that has created the whole impression that they were building 200 schools. They were able to build 29 of them. In fact, awarding 124 contracts. When they were leaving office, at no point did they make any budgetary allocation for it. And another government comes and have to make sure that there is budgetary allocation for it, to the extent that they have to even add ancillary facilities to the project to be able to make the project functional. Certainly, reasonably and organically, it's going to take time. If we reduce the construction of the project to every chief making a demand and giving an ultimatum, then I can bet you that the remaining 64 minus the 27, every chief is going to get up and give an ultimatum.
I hear you.
What is more important is that the Honorable Minister of Education, Dr. Yosef, is bent on making sure that these projects are all completed
by February, as the chief wants.
There are a number of them, especially those that have passed about 90% complete, just like this one.
Let's stay in Aflao.
Yes.
So he wants it open by February. Is it possible?
I'm not sure it's only about him. It's really about the projects in that categories, which even before the chief made his comments, the ministry has started to operationalize those that has gotten to the level of completion.
What's your timeline for those ones who have gotten beyond 60% and above towards completion?
Johnny, what I know...
Does the ministry have a timeline?
The system, you see, if you look at the projects, they are, it's not like the awarding of the contracts were done en masse or en bloc. They were done on individual basis. Right. So the ministry is unable to say that we are going to finish all of them maybe today or tomorrow. Okay. Unless, of course, we go into the individual specifics, which, it will take time if we want to go into the data. But for me, what we know at the ministry and what we have been doing and will continue to do is that those that has passed the level of 95%, we are hoping that hopefully by next academic year we will operationalize it.
Will you grant the chief's wish? Will you grant his wish?
Which includes Togo's own. Because if you saw initially, let me even do some quite logical. Let me do some logical tests here. On one side, the impression that was bandied around is that the projects have been abandoned.
You made that point already.
No, if you look at this project specifically, in particular, when the MPP administration took over, of course, under the leadership of the President, Nana Addo and the Honorable Minister of Education, it was at the first floor. Today, you just show it on your TV. So it even defeats the earlier argument that it was abandoned. But like I said, at some point, there are some of the projects you have to add ancillary projects that you did not even budget or plan for. But I'm very hopeful. I'm very, very hopeful that including what the Togo is demanding and all other facilities that are in that various category, hopefully,
so they'll be ready by February?
Hopefully by February, we should be able to operationalize. I'm very hopeful.
So the ministry agrees with Togo, except that the president doesn't agree with Togo?
No, the ministry has always been working to operationalize it.
I hear you.
Of which the president is also aware, and that's what the president has been championing.
I hear you. Council, was the chief playing propaganda, as suggested by the president?
What is the crime of this chief? Is the crime that when he met the minority on the education committee and was then telling them that, look, this an E-block, which is 90% complete. Can you operationalize it for me so that students in my catchment area can go to school? And that in his catchment area, there's no secondary school. He said there was one that has been turned to a seminary. Is that a crime? You see, if you want an example of a bad president, it's a president who is intolerant. It's a president who is condescending. It's a president who thinks that he is above the people. When you listen to the comments of the president, it clearly shows you that he doesn't even understand the workings of democracy.
It says it's not the place of the chief to give the minister ultimatum.
That's why I'm saying
the minister works under him.
That's why I'm saying that
he must call the shots.
That's why I'm saying that he doesn't even understand how democracy works.
But why do you say that?
President Akufo-Addo, he was unemployed. When he was in opposition, what work was he doing?
He was in a private firm.
Which private firm? Which private firm?
Come on.
Which private firm?
Lawyer.
Which private firm? He was unemployed. It is the people of Ghana.
The president was not in private practice.
No, he was not. It is the people of Ghana. Which court did you see him in? It was the people of Ghana who employed him to become the president.
He could be notary public.
And he was signing documents.
Yes, it's possible.
Okay. All right.
Or writing briefs for other.
You let me go on. There's a serious matter here.
No, you are making an
allegation. There's a serious matter. There's a serious matter.
You are making an allegation.
Look, there's a serious matter. Let me go on.
I'm seeking clarification.
I said that he wasn't working. You said that he was signing documents. It's okay. Now, the point is this. The point is this. In a democracy, it is the people who employ you. So an employer can give an employee an ultimatum. So where does he get his understanding by saying that, can the chief give the minister an ultimatum? Even he himself, the chief, can give him an ultimatum.
It says the chief can go and do it if he's frustrated.
That's where I'm coming to now. So if you have a president whose mindset is this, and particularly for Akufo-Addo as president, this is a man who begged, who literally begged. Of all the presidents under the Fourth Republic, this is the president who literally begged people to vote for him. Today, look at his lifestyle. Look at his conduct. Look at his speeches. Look at how he talks to people. Unpresidential. And you think that it is okay to allow this to continue?
Well, Togbe Fiti is not alone.
There's even another chief, Yellow Krobo chief, who has asked him to come and evacuate the E-blocks if he's not going to complete them. People are frustrated. People see those projects and want their children to go to school. You have crammed people with your free SSS in small schools and rooms. There are facilities to accommodate them. You are not doing it. And when people speak up and say that, can you assist them to do it, you go on that tangent.
Look, I think it was a bad taste.
Look, you see, the president must wake up to reality that his style of governance, the people of this country have become fed up with him.
How?
And that is why chiefs, queen mothers, look him in the face and tell him the truth. And that is why there was a queen mother who told him to deal with, to talk about the LGBTQ and the plus one.
Okay, where are you going?
So people have now become fed up because his own promises before he came, it's not what he's doing.
But Kwesi says they are committed to completing the projects. If you look at the progress that have been made since
he peddled falsehood. He peddled falsehood here.
Which
that NDC completed 20-something.
29, yeah. That's the facts.
Stop doing that.
Unless you provide your counterfacts. You do not rubbish somebody's data.
So maybe he has details to share. What are your figures?
Stop telling that. Graphic online.
He doesn't have.
NDC built 46-day community day senior school.
So graphic speaks for you.
You see?
Allow.
You see
he's quoting Matthew Opoku Prempeh.
Who is much more senior than you? You see your pedestrian argument. Your pedestrian argument.
Go ahead.
46 out of 200 planned community senior high school projects initiated by the NDC government has been completed. The Minister of Education, Matthew Opoku Prempeh, has said.
When is this dated?
Matthew Opoku Prempeh has said. It's 2017.
2017, okay.
Huh? If you want the month, I'll give you. March 07, my birthday. 07, 2017.
Lawyer.
Huh? Then you come and sit here and peddle falsehood and say that we all completed 2016. So you see, how we came to this point, that as a people, we allow a group of people who were able to deceive us
into bringing them to power is our problem now today.
Should the president apologize? There are calls that he should apologize. Or
what I expect this morning, could he have spoken that way to Asantene? Could he have spoken that way to his own chief, Ochehine? He's so condescending. He's so condescending. Look, what I expect this morning is the people of Aflao to mass up and demonstrate.
You are calling for chaos.
And what is chaos? Demonstrations in the Constitution, what is chaos? Tell the people who wrote the Constitution to remove it before you can say it's chaos. To demonstrate against the president for attacking their chief and for not completing the block. It is in bad taste to have our president always, he cannot stomach criticisms. Simple criticisms, he cannot stomach them. And that, I think, is the bane. And that's a weakness in our democracy. His conduct is a weakness in our democracy. Where you have a president who is intolerant.
I hear you.
A president who cannot take simple criticisms. And the journalist was also laughing when he said that one can see it. How can a president talk that way to
I hear you.
people?
So let me bring you in, Kwesi. Somebody is asking, because we're talking education, and I'm happy you are here. Somebody is asking where the textbooks are for the basic schools.
Textbooks for
yes.
basic schools. Basic
school textbooks. Your predecessor, who is now MP for Tafo, Vincent Asefo, had promised that the textbooks will be in by February this year. Richard Ahiagba told me that the textbooks will be ready 6 months after the curriculum was changed. That was 2 years ago. Now, more than 2 years down the line, we had the textbooks.
Then who sent you this message?
Oh, it's on Twitter. I can share with you. It's on Twitter, actually.
I mean, it's a valid question, and we are all worried about
so
it.
The Twitter is Shaku M. Awal Foko, and he says, ask the PR when the textbooks for the basic schools will be given to basic schools. 3 years on the keep, he says, lying to Ghanaians, when the books will be coming. And then he asked a screenshot from City Newsroom of a nice picture of Echo Vincent, my good friend, dated 2 years ago. He said textbooks for new curriculum to be ready in February. Education Ministry. He was in your position.
Let me set a premise before I'm able to answer that question.
Right.
You see, don't let us create the impression that the whole education is premised on textbooks. If you go to, I mean, that is not to say that textbooks are not necessary, but if you go to jurisdictions like UK, for instance, they don't use textbooks. Textbooks are for the individual enhancement of the child.
Okay.
It's not for the teaching activities. And so if you look at when the standard-based curriculum, for instance, was introduced, because I mean that is from the KG up to the primary level, the expectation was that we have the textbooks. I mean, the publishers promised that they were going to give, it was 6 months or ultimatum to be able to finish. I'm sure it was against that backdrop that we had Richard and my own good friend, Ekoenko, giving that promise.
Right.
But unfortunately, the whole of 2020, COVID hit, and their processes were truncated because at the end, especially most of the printing materials, they have to import and other things. So they delayed in honoring their promise. But what I know is that hopefully, as at by next academic year, the textbooks will be ready for use. But you see, beyond the textbooks, the Ministry of Education, of course, under the leadership of the Honorable Minister of Education, Dr. Yosef Duchum, was even far advanced and proactive. So what he did was to get resource parks and train all the teachers, all 150,000 teachers that are within the basic category. Train them, gave them resource parks. Of course, I mean, the resource parks includes the framework of the curriculum and all other relevant information that will be necessary for teaching and learning that the teachers have that they are using. So, yes, the textbooks, in as much as they are very relevant in our educational discourse, hopefully by next academic year they will be in use. But I just want to set the premise that we shouldn't make it look as though everything is centered on tests, because there are other advanced candidates even.
So the textbooks will be ready for use by next academic year.
Next academic year.
But then in your new curriculum as well, the children are supposed to use round tables. They're supposed to sit in a Montessori style. What's the plan? Because the desks that you have are still the dual desks.
Implementation of it depends on which category. Because, I mean, you cannot say that those are at the JSS level.
No, I'm talking about primary.
But the basics. Okay, very well. So implementation of a curriculum is not an event.
It's 2 years.
It's a process.
It's been 2 years.
No, it's a process. So
it's been 2 years.
Today we are talking about textbooks. I'm sure after the textbooks we also move there.
It's been 2 years.
No, I'm saying that it's not an event. So we will certainly get there.
If you are not completing your processes, why do you change the process?
No, the process. I mean, like I said, if you are talking about, and I'm happy you use the word the process. Process will mean that you start from somewhere and get to another place. I am not sure the suggestion is that all of a sudden we should throw away all the Adua dexes and get new dexes. It is a process. We'll continue to address them as and when it becomes.
Council, take your 1 minute on this one.
The work of a PRO, as it is not to defend everything, and including the indefensible. You sit here and say that, oh, we shouldn't think that textbooks are all in all, and that there are resource packets or packs or whatever. Then you again say that, oh, no, I'm not saying that textbooks are not important. You scrapped certain textbooks, and I have dealt with publishers because some of them even owe my clients who are Indians, and he's here to call. They went to India, printed those textbooks. They even begged you that let us phase the textbooks out gradually. I can tell you, one of them even collapsed and died. Oh yes, Bedun Cancer.
Wow.
If you know a publisher called Bedun Cancer.
Yeah, I know Bedun Cancer.
I am putting it out. I sent him to court. My Indian client came. We are pursuing him for money.
Johnny, these are personal issues.
What is personal? I'm telling you how your system did not take into consideration the entire spectrum of textbook
of your clients.
Of textbooks in the system. So there were textbooks. People went and printed them and came back. They met with the education minister and said, can we do it gradually and phase them out? You said no. So all those textbooks came and they were abandoned. Now, introduce the new textbooks to Wahala. You are not introducing. And you think that you are managing the education system well?
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning, TV3. Please, in my candid opinion, the statement from the president to Togbe Fiti was rude and distasteful. If the president speaks like that, what do we expect from a common boy on the street? Please, Mr. President should attach some level of seriousness to the presidency. I pity the journalist interviewing him is a father and son, employee and employer situation. Victor Rapture and Ho. When are the 88 hospitals the civil president Akufo-Addo promised us? Ghanaians are just vigilant these days. You can't tell them lies and walk away. Osman Bukrison in Tamale. Good morning, Johnny. You see the president, we were all here when he went about eating kenke with spare parts dealers in Accra and eating tubani, special meal made from beans in the north, while he was seeking to become the chief servant of this great nation. Now he is arrogant to the very people he was claiming to serve. It was a low day to say the least. He must apologize appropriately. If he's not misled, then it was a mistake. Let him know that a repeated mistake is a decision. God save this country from my kids and yours. Johnny, have a blessed day. Alexander in Takra. The golden boy in Tamale Central says, good morning to you, Johnny. Sir, so it's Mr. Kwesi Kwatin telling us that until the case is determined in court, GES can't issue statement condemning the act and apologize to the parents and the general public. Good morning, Johnny. GES never gets anything right. It is evident in the way they treat teachers. The PRA is clearly an epitome of the unprofessionalism that goes on at the GES headquarters. What a shame, Bright Apele. Good morning, Johnny. The GES and Ministry of Education are only interested in buying PASCO for the final year students. Nothing more for them to do. Godwin Ashale from Gbegbe said, Dansoman. Good morning, TV3. Johnny, I'm saddened this morning. Why? Is the president saying Togbe Fiti is the only person requesting for completion of the project in the area? Can he tell any chief in his town? Kofi Vumek. Good morning, Johnny. Ali Isaac from Junior. I want to ask Kwesi this question. My question is, for how long will the processing of teacher trainee allowances take to be disbursed? He has given us assurance for 2 times and nothing has been done. Oh, Mr. Kwesi, just feel like saying things like he's been sent to send. Well, thank you very much. A happy birthday to Mrs. Millicent Ama Uswa Lamte, and also to your lovely daughter Nelly Odako Lamte of Tema Parents School. This is from Dr. Ray of Get Well Medical Center. Also a happy birthday to Akosia Jemfua Kisiwa, 4 years old today, Star Academy Community 12 in Tema. This is from Richard Kisi of the Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors, and also Mrs. Joyce Asari Kisi, Tema General Hospital, and to Valentine Seto Ale. This is from Komla Dumke. Thank you, Mr. Kwesi Kwating. I wish we'll have a one-on-one sometime soon. He's a PRO, a spokesperson for the Ministry of Education. And also, Lawyer Abraham Amaleba is the head of the NDC's legal team and also a member of the communication team. Grateful that you could join us. Thank you very much. The sports here, and then we're asking the question, will you share your PIN? Your phone passcode with your wife and your phone or your partner? Will you share it? I don't know what you think. We'll see you after the break.